Hello, welcome back, and I cannot believe how many people have joined the channel since in the past 2 weeks. I am completely just overwhelmed with gratitude because I was not expecting that to happen. And oh my gosh, thank you so much for just leaving your own journeys and your own stories in the comments. It is, I'm reading these and just so grateful for everyone who is willing to be open and offering help to others. So thank you so much for that. This video in particular, I've been called to do because I feel like you should all get to know me. This video I've been called to do, it is how my spiritual awakening began, what the catalyst for it was. This is going to overlap a little bit with my path into mediumship video because the two are very much intertwined. So yeah, I guess we'll just hop right in. This is just going to be a story time, not so much a list. This is still pretty hard for me, but I gotta do it. I gotta be able to do it. So what ended up happening was October of 2018, my boyfriend, who I had been with for a few years, ended up in a very severe accident. So my awakening was triggered by trauma. Very, very intense trauma. I mean, any kind of trauma is intense. So things really started to take off pretty much almost immediately for me. I mean, it was really a roller coaster of a time. But specifically, I remember, he didn't come home that night, and then the next morning I heard he wasn't at work, and so things, it wasn't one of those accidents where they call you from the hospital. It was me and some friends really had to call around and figure out where was he, what happened. So I remember sitting on the porch that morning, and I was waiting for a few friends to come pick me up. I had just run home from work, and I was waiting for us all to drive to the hospital together. And I remember I was sitting on my porch, just kind of in a state of panic, and I didn't know what to think. I didn't know what was going on. I was hoping everything was okay. There were not really any flowers around. There wasn't a garden in the front or anything like that. But I remember I was sitting there, crying, and this hummingbird flew right up to me, as far away as the camera is right now. It was so close. And I wasn't wearing any kind of colors or anything like that. I was wearing just black and white. It was just my work outfit. And it just hovered there for a good 5 to 10 seconds and then went off. And I remember, this was before I read into everything as a sign, but I was looking at it and I was really hoping that it was saying that everything's going to be okay. So basically that entire month, like I said, was a roller coaster of, oh my God, everything's gonna be okay. And then things would start to, snowball down the hill. And then it'd be oh my gosh, there's hope. And then things would start to snowball again. And so it was very, very up and down. It was really hard to eat. I was having sleep issues. I was constantly running on adrenaline and probably cortisol. I don't know, I was just living, eating, breathing stress. And I was just living in a constant state of shock. I didn't know what was going to happen every day. It was just the entire experience took me out of normal reality. For years, you're living your normal life, you're going to work, you're going out, having fun with friends, whatever. And then suddenly this whole thing happens where none of that matters anymore at all. And now you are just living in a constant state of wondering, nothing else matters. I had completely just ditched my job because I couldn't handle going to work when, you know, the person I loved was teetering on the edge of death. Which also, I want to mention, was really, really cruddy because they wanted me to come back to work. And not in a good way, like not, oh, this is going to help take your mind off of it. No, they like actually still wanted me to work. So screw them. You know what I mentioned earlier about like my whole reality had been rocked. This is when I really started undergoing those like dissociative episodes. I was starting to struggle with figuring out like what was my reality now, because I was actually still having dreams around this time, like despite having sleep issues. When I slept at night, I was actually so exhausted from constantly running on stress that when I slept, like I knocked out. And I'd have these dreams where, you know, he'd still be alive, like we were talking, and it felt so real. And then I'd wake up and realize, no, this is my reality right now. It was very, very trippy. Like it would trip me out like real bad, because I felt like I was living two lives at that point, like my dream life and then my life, my real life. Aromatherapy really helped me. I used to have this little oil necklace where you could put like drops of essential oil in there and then just smell it when, you know, you ever felt stressed or anxious. That really helped. Also, this little like this little herb supplement formula, which I'll actually link down below. I'm not sponsored by it in any way. It just really, really helped me to like de-stress and actually sleep and bring my appetite back. So I'll actually put the link down for that below in case anyone else needs that. I found a lot of peace in nature. I actually would, you know, when I wasn't at the hospital, I would go to the park just by myself as much as I could. And I would literally just sit in the grass and either like sleep or cry or just like lay down and look up at the treetops. And this was before I even knew what grounding was, which, you know, looking back is really interesting to see how your body just knows what it needs. And I was in extreme need of grounding. You know, I was literally just a walking body with anxiety. Like that was it. There was nothing else to me at the time. I also had a friend who, she brought me over to a meditation group that she was a part of. And meditation actually also really helped me. Again, I didn't know what that was at all. I didn't even know what meditation entailed. She brought me into this meditation circle. It was really, really peaceful. They did sound healing. It was in this like beautiful, just open space, this dark room, really like gentle wafts of incense going around. That also really helped to ground me because it also taught me how to control my breath. And it taught me how to control like my mental state, because again, I was in a constant state of panic. I was in a constant state of anxiety. I didn't know like how to control myself. I was always like shaking or trembling, like the complete opposite of what I am now. It really helped, and it also was a mini catalyst for what came later, because it was also in a group setting. And once I had gone to this meditation meeting, from there I realized that's what I wanted. You know, I wanted a group setting where people were safe to be what they needed to be, who they wanted to be, without judgment, without anything, and just be peaceful. And oh my gosh, there's a little hummingbird like right next to me. Hold on. How divine is that? Oh my gosh. So yeah, shortly after he passed away, it was really funny because literally like the day that, you know, we let him, you know, he left, all this like weird woo-woo stuff started happening, like quite vividly feeling like his presence around me, but I was also very much, I was actually really angry, which is very normal. I was actually really angry that he had left. And so I had like completely like shut myself down. Like I would be like walking in the room by myself and be like, go away. After that, I moved away from where I was living at the time. And, I actually had the option to stay. And, like my roommates were going to help me. And, I had friends who wanted to support me. And, my whole social circle was in this one location. I knew like I had to move back. I had to move somewhere else. I really feel like it was one of those things that they say where you can't, or rather it's really hard to heal in the place that hurt you. And I didn't want to continue being in the space that we had grown together in. And I didn't want to be, revisiting all these places and continuing life where he had once been. I'm really glad that I followed that call because it led me to meet other people who were on my path. And I think I was always meant to leave. Again, like we're always given a choice, but seeing how everything has panned out, I really do believe like I was being pulled to leave that area to pursue like the calling that I'm in now. So let's talk about what happened when I moved back. Well, I moved from a very quiet little neighborhood back into a city environment. I hate living in the city. Okay, moving back was so tough. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was extremely sensitive, whether it was due to trauma or due to like my ascension, probably both, but I could not handle city life. Like I was extremely paranoid walking down the street. Everything sounded 10 times louder than it normally ever is. Like buses sounded way louder, sirens, like construction, everything, even people talking. Like I was very, very triggered by everything. And it was very hard to adjust to. I'm just like incredibly grateful to my dog because he gave me a sense of routine and he gave me a sense of responsibility. I still had to get up and go walk him because even though around this time I was spiraling into, I wouldn't say spiraling, but I was definitely depressed. I was definitely depressed around this time. He would get me out to go on walks, and so we went on 2 walks a day, sometimes 3 walks a day, which was really great because, it was getting me out into nature. And it's also just really fun because he's a very personable little puppy, and I feel like he would spend more time like running up to dogs and being all silly with them just to try and make me laugh. There was all this like crazy, like movie type stuff happening. I was cleaning my room when I was moving out, and I'm going to do a little rewind. A couple of weeks before the accident, there was a festival that we all went to, and the hotel room that we stayed at was numbered 5112. And so fast forward, we're in the hospital now. His room is 5112. And I didn't make that connection until after, I was cleaning, I was moving everything out. I found the old hotel room key that said 5112, and it jarred me because I was like, oh my God, how in the world is this coincidence is major. So, like to this day, I'm just like still completely shocked. How like the chances of that happening are just so, I don't know. I was like, am I on punked? I was seeing butterflies all the time. It was like the middle of November. I'm like, is this even butterfly season? Hummingbirds everywhere. I was constantly seeing feathers everywhere I went. I was seeing a lot of dimes. So yeah, when I moved back, this was when the isolation started to hit me because I was quite physically and literally removed from my social circle. I had been living in that area for so many years already, and I had really established myself there, and to have to completely just uproot and leave all of that behind, that was very hard on me. That was very hard on me. Although it was healing to be in a new space, it was really hard to be separated from all of my friends. And the friends that I did have back where I moved to, they were on the side of, I think you kind of need to get yourself checked out kind of thing. A lot of people have asked me, like, how did you know you weren't just going crazy? And let me tell you, I didn't know that I wasn't just going crazy. Like, it wasn't crazy without reason. You know, I had just suffered a huge loss, a huge traumatic event, which many people couldn't relate to. And that actually used to anger me a lot because I just could not find anybody my age who had gone through anything quite as similar. And so it wasn't like I just spontaneously lost my mind, you know. And even more than that, like I didn't want medication, and I wasn't even focused on what was wrong with me. Like, that was not my perspective at all. I was more focused on trying to find the truth. You know, I didn't want like medicine. I wanted answers. Like, I don't think I ever once for a second stopped to think, like, is there something wrong with me? Because I didn't feel like what was happening was internal. You know, I felt like this was all an external shift. Some of the things that really kept me going through this time were, again, like having friends that could relate, or even just finding like online communities and people posting similar experiences. I think that was actually one of the things that really kept me like prevented me from like questioning my mind or my sanity, was that I was finding all of these articles, these posts, blogs, forums, whatever you name it, online, where people were experiencing very similar things. And again, that just created this like intense desire to continue looking for answers, because I was just like, how in the world do all these people have such a similar experience, and yet the desire to find out was just incredible. You know, there were nights like I literally just wouldn't sleep because I would just stay up reading all night, trying to figure it out, trying to wrap my head around it. There is definitely more that I went through, but that was the catalyst. And trauma is a very common catalyst for spiritual awakenings. Because, you know, otherwise, how would you see another way of living? You know, there has to be something that shifts your perspective so much that you have no choice but to question why, and but to question, you know, what's the truth. You know, what really, really helped me throughout this entire time was, again, just being out in nature. That was single-handedly the greatest medicine and key to just staying grounded throughout that entire experience. Just not giving up on myself too. You know, there were definitely moments where I was like, I want out of here, I'm over it. But I didn't want to give up until I found the truth. You know, I didn't want to give up until I could come up with some kind of answer for myself that what I was experiencing was real. And you know, that tenacity, follow that passion or that questioning, follow that, because it will lead you places. It will lead you somewhere. So there you go. That's the catalyst for my awakening. That was how it all began. You know, looking back, would I have still gone through all of it again? You know, I just want to say that before that all happened, I always had this just gnawing feeling in myself that there was something missing, and I could never figure out what I wanted to do in my life. You know, I was doing like all these different jobs. I had graduated from college, and I just did not feel really passionate about anything that I had done up till that point, and I couldn't figure out why, and it was just, there was something missing, you know, and there was no way that I could have discovered that this is what I meant to be doing if all of that didn't happen. And so it kind of makes me emotional to say that, because I just feel so grateful and just so called to do this. And you know, thank you to all the wonderful people who have booked readings with me and sent me such kind messages. Oh my gosh, like literally I was so many tears shed last week just out of appreciation for everyone out here and on this platform and on this channel. And so, you know, I am sending you so much love and peace on your journey. All right, I'm gonna end it here. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.